So, welcome to HUBTalks. This is our monthly speaking event for all the interlopers in the hub to talk about anything sci-fi, arts, technology, science, No Man's Sky. We're tossing in Light No Fire too. So for anybody who is here now or anyone watching this in the future, if you want to give a hub talk at any point, let us know and reach out to us at HBS, and we can get that set up for you. Today we have Daniel Nielsen to talk to us about the results of the HubCoin study, I believe. So take it away.
So I have run a couple of interviews with you folks on HubCoin as well as the community, which initially was, I've been a No Man's Sky player for quite a while, and think I've logged about 130 hours. I guess that's exactly about nothing compared to the most of you folks, but in a way, I'm a huge fan of the game. And when I first heard about the community, that really piqued my interest, and I am quite sure that you've had that phenomenon happening to you quite a few times already, with sort of folks from the outside getting interested and wanting to know more. A little bit about myself. I'm a researcher, PhD student exactly at the Charles University in Prague, Czech Republic, although I'm originally Danish as well. So, all right. So this study, like I told you, I was excited and interested in the community and HubCoin in particular. The two arguments that I've been trying to sort of like bring out with this study. The first one being that I'm kind of trying to argue that games and online gameplay is inherently precarious, particularly because the games are unstable. And what I mean by precarious is that, it's uncertain, unpredictable in many ways. Not the way that, because you progress through the game, it's somehow unpredictable as things change and you get more affordances, abilities, and so on. No, what I mean by precarious is that it's the updates to the games, or the patches that developers they push out, they make the circumstances unpredictable for players. So let me just dig into that one, and I'll give you a little more detail on the second argument that I'm trying to make. So, as you're probably aware, Hello Games made quite some promises back in 2016, I believe, and players, they have gathered these promises and listed them, and they totaled around 32 of them that were actually not at all delivered upon its release back then, and that has already been addressed with a number of updates since then. Whereas back in 2020, 7 were remaining, I guess we can assume now with the latest update that almost all of them could be addressed. And that's what I kind of like. I'm interested in these number of updates that have been pushed. What does that actually like? I mean, that's all great, right? Like free content. Who doesn't like that? That really shows the passion of the developers, right? But what does that actually mean? So I guess you felt that firsthand, right? In mid-July with the latest update. This is what the capital planet looked like before, right? As you are all aware. And this is what it looks like now, unfortunately. And this is not the first time that this has happened, if I'm correct. I think you've had to um, change your capital like 4 times prior, if I'm not mistaken, and already in 2017, I think you had to leave Lennon. So yeah, so like I said, this is not what happened, like what the first time that this has happened, right? You have been sort of like as a community been suffering due to Hell Games pushing these new updates frequently. I'm quite aware about Andrew Reinhardt's engagement with the community. He did this archaeological study of the Galactic Hub project members, like sort of having to do what he called disaster caused abandonment, during Atlas Rising in 2017. As far as I understand, you have had to, yeah, like I said, change up to 4 times before the latest update. But it's quite unclear to me if this was always caused by, like, these changes of Capital was always caused by an update or not. I've been trying to track down sort of like impactful updates in terms of their changes to planets. As far as I can see, there has only been, yeah, these 4 preceding, but I can't really like figure out if that's because of the updates, and what updates would that be in particular. Anyone have any ideas to that? I would love to hear it.
So I know one was I want to say Next. One of the updates did like a Galaxy reboot and reset everything, and that was a move. I know there was another update that changed the flora, like the fauna and the flora generation, and that caused the Diplos on the planet that time to go extinct. So there was a move from that.
Yeah, yes, but like what I think that this is anyway like something that a great example of how online games are essentially precarious, as they are proposed as these like stable objects worth of your all players' time investment, but publishers like Killer Games or anyone running online service games, these reserve their rights to make any changes at any moment, and the changes might actually have quite significant impact in terms of devaluing exactly that time that you you guys have been investing. This is what got me into the second argument that I've been trying to make. I have about how to appropriately retain this value that I've been talking about, all this time investment in the context of games as unstable objects, as I believe they are. So this is where I find HubCoin as an excellent example. It's kind of like resides externally from the game and provides everyone everything that the game itself cannot really provide. So, like I mentioned multiple times, scarcity, transferability, and it's also at the same time resilient towards exploitation, which is quite an issue in the game, as I've understood. Well, this is not really like central to the arguments that I made. I wanted to share with you this graph as well. So this is all the transactions that have been made over the last couple of years using HubCoin. I excluded the monthly payouts and transactions of that nature. So it really only represents transactions between players, and I presume that these are sort of transactions in connection with purchases of business services or products. And you can see that there was a spike after the Waypoint update, and when the games they were merged. I have no idea why that would be. So that would also be quite interesting to hear your thoughts around that.
If it was like around September, I would have said New Zeke, because New Zeke came out around that time, but that wasn't yet.
I would say Waypoint. Probably you saw a big spike in purchases from people getting new modules and stuff because Waypoint kind of shook up how supercharged, like we got supercharged slots and everything. So like the meta around everything changed. So people kind of quickly had to regather their resources and get new modules to get up to speed again. So probably a bit of that. And a lot of people just, I mean, there was a lot of talk about the game at that point too. So we had a lot of people coming in and just signing up, doing all sorts of stuff.
Well, that's excellent. Thank you for that. Anyway, so I wanted to, address this topic about like retaining this value, right? So the question really is to be able to understand HubCoin in this context as an example of retaining value. I kind of made some considerations in these discussions about what to consider valuable, and here are the three things that really stood out in the interviews. So obviously, and probably not surprisingly at all, is that creativity is really like something that is sought after, whether it's like technical solutions such as the save editors that people are using for for eggs, or craft work such as glitch building or other artistic touches for interior or design. Another one is also time, and the exchange of time is really something most of the informant or the people I interviewed thought to be valuable. So, and with that, so anything that doesn't really take time is also kind of considered not to have an appeal. And that is what kind of we saw happening with, and was mentioned many times how materials were sort of like devalued after Waypoint. So, and with that comes like purism, like while materials, they have lost their value. Some are considered, some still considered valuable to have played the game the way that it was like originally intended, without the use of duping and exploits. So if I have to sort of summarize like the general findings into 3 themes from the discussion during the interviews, the first will be the observations, or the observation and the sense of struggle with Hello Games, increasingly sort of casualizing the game for the sake of the sandbox feel. And to some, this has been experienced as robbing the game of any sense of progression, really. The second theme would be, and this is probably also might be a little bit obvious considering the previous theme, there is a value in scarcity, really. But this was also mentioned to extend to other services and businesses, as the savager indirectly contribute to a sense of decreasing the value of animals that the people have discovered and collected, because anybody, if it gains attention, anybody would be able to reproduce that particular animal. And the last one, really value comes down to the exchange of time or work, and I'll be quite interested to hear what the rest of you have to say about this idea that what you're really doing is largely work and the exchange of work in this game.
I'll say it is very interesting, especially like I work with HBS and running that, and that is the thing that most of what we do is something that, like, if you're good at it, you could actually probably go out and get a job at it. Like, there's editing and script writing. We have, to some extent, the photography. So I think, like, on that end, we have things that sometimes it's maybe a bit harder to get people for, because we are very much more like structured, like an actual thing where you would be like something you might see more in real world, and something that is more work. But yeah, I would say, like, especially if you're doing, back when we had resource gatherers, that would be like a thing where someone would, I think, order it, and then you would have to go out and spend however much time actually tracking down those items. And then other things we have, like people do wiki businesses, and design businesses, I think all need like a level of skill as well. So I would agree that it has.
And I think it's interesting, especially like if I have to summarize it, in these, like, especially this discussion of work. So the main takeaways is really, I see it as this, like I mentioned before, I see it as the struggle between the members of the Galactic Hub project trying to sort of retain or ascertain the value, while also having to face Hello Games sort of repeated updates. And while this is not explicit in the presentation I've given today, I find it interesting that cheating, duping, or using exploits has in a way become the equivalent of value, as most services are provided in some way or revolves around cheating mechanics within the game or externally using different kind of tools, which would probably, I believe, be considered cheating in other competitive games or settings. So here I really see this tendency to be somewhat like forced out of the game. Is I see like you and like the members being forced out of the game to identify these potential value sources or work, right? And that really raises the question about how an economy that is increasingly about outside activities can survive if it takes the players away from the game, right?
Um, well, I will say that we do have permadeath now, which is becoming more and more of a thing to the point where like it went from a colony to many players. I think they're in one system, but they're going to be going into others. But because in permadeath you can't do any of the waypoints changes to your like you can't do any of the waypoint custom difficulty stuff. So you are much more like not really stuck, but like you have all those restrictions on there, so you can't dupe in anything. So you're much more reliant on going and gathering stuff on your own. So that is, I think, and that's what also some people are starting to look at as like a big place to go and make in-game value and HubCoin, where like resources and items have a value. And we actually today had someone opening up, I think it's a tech business where they're gathering really good technology modules and selling those for HubCoin in permadeath mode.
And do you see that as a solution, or is it something else?
I mean, I wouldn't say that it's like a full solution, but I think it's definitely some way part way there, because not everybody is going to want to do permadeath, but it does at least in give in-game work like a higher value again, as opposed to where we have in waypoints and then there's not really much motivation to go and gather where it could just be, instantly gone. But also as the treasury, we have certified vanilla where it's a certification you can get. The treasury comes in and takes a look at your base and your methods of gathering. And if we verify that you are fully vanilla, you're not using any save edits, I believe that includes difficulty as well, and you're not doing any modifications in that, then you basically get a certification, and we have a full printable certificate that you can have up on your shop. Uh, and the idea is that, well, we've taken surveys, and a lot of interlopers say that they would rather shop at certified vanilla business. And
Mhm.
so hopefully that also helps. That's been, I think, since near the start of HubCoin, we've had that. And usually people will go more on certified vanilla. That's more of a motivation to stay on that path. And sometimes you charge a bit extra for being vanilla, I believe. But
Mhm.
yeah, I think it's still a thing that we are still constantly looking at, working on, and trying to figure out how we can make it work and make more motivation for interaction with the economy and to bring things having value again.
I think this kind of like sums up, or in one way or another, like these initiatives such as the certificate and also the introduction of HubCoin exemplifies, of course, the ways that you prefer your mode of gameplay, but also in a way and attempts of resistance, right? Um, Rufino, he talks about how procedurally generated environments, and in particular No Man's Sky, sort of have an internal dehumanizing tendency, um, and that challenges the human subject of play and labor. So the really that's what I would like to ask here today. Like, do you feel dehumanized?
I haven't done most of my HubCoin work has been outside of game stuff or in like colony missions. So I wouldn't say so personally. I feel like it's still pretty. Yeah, I still feel pretty good about everything. And also we have like the colony work stuff where we have the mission. We did have to make it ourselves. It's nothing from the game, but that was a really cool thing, really cool innovation, where like you're able to do things for HubCoin and have cool missions. So yeah, personally, I feel pretty good about the entire thing.
Yeah, like that makes sense with your like the initiatives that you have made in the Galactic Hub project. So I guess what Rufino he refers to is the dehumanizing effects of the procedural generated content. Of course, your initiatives add values to that. I believe, as you're explaining. But yeah, so that is really the end of my presentation for the initial results of this study. I can already let you guys know that this one paper that has been produced out of this has already been accepted for publication. So soon enough, you will actually, if you're interested in knowing more and about the details of the study, you will be able to actually read it. And I'll make sure to also share it in the general channel with you once it's out. Um, so yeah, thank you for everyone for your attention.
Yeah, thank you for coming and presenting. Yeah, so thank you for coming to HubTalks. Yeah, thank you everyone for coming and listening.